The 2022 Video Game Championship season was an unforgettable way to close another chapter in our Pokemon journeys with a send-off for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Trainers went all out to finish the era strong, delivering unforgettable plays and exciting player stories.
Dynamax shaped the 2022 season early on, and we were shown the power of Gigantamax Pokemon and their signature moves.
He has decided that we need a bigger Togekiss. We need to make sure that it can take hits, get that really nice boost.
In particular, Gigantamax Charizard dealt significant chip damage at the end of each turn through G-Max Wildfire.
Grimmsnarl not sticking around after that one. I think that's one of the first G-Max moves I've seen on stream. Really going to be impactful as well.
At the start of the Sword and Shield era, Aaron Traylor piloted Charizard to a win at the 2020 Dallas Regional Championships. And despite the numerous changes to the format, Charizard would be a constant throughout Sword and Shield.
With the return of events in 2022, we saw a shift in formats to Series 12. This format allowed trainers to use 2 restricted Pokemon, which drastically ramped up the power level of teams.
The first regional was held in Salt Lake City when the Series 12 format was still relatively young and unexplored. At the end of a grueling tournament, Aaron Traylor once again found himself in a regional finals, but this time he was the one facing down a Charizard on Chongjun Peng's team.
Chongjun Peng stood strong at the end with an undefeated record to earn his first regional championship title. The Pokemon he used alongside his Charizard were Groudon, Zacian, Gastrodon, Incineroar, and Grimmsnarl, which would go on to be one of the most influential teams in the entire format, locally referred to as Rinya Sun.
The team was named after Rinya Kobayashi, a player from Japan who had popularized the archetype at the start of the format.
In the lead-up to the first international championship of the 2022 season, Rinya Sun teams claimed several consecutive major tournament wins, including the Liverpool Regional, won by Eric Rios.
This game 1, we are going to see a Dynamax lead, and it's going to be the delightful Reggie Alecki. Very happy to be here in the European Championships.
The success of the competition meant that it was on every trainer's radar in preparation for the European International Championships in Frankfurt, Germany.
Many trainers opted to include an answer to this Sun team, but it still prevailed, with Eric Rios getting a second major win of the season, further cementing the reputation of Rinya Sun as the team to beat and Eric as one of the best trainers in the world.
He is going to be going on to become our European International Champion. It's not done yet. Anything can happen, but Eric putting himself in a great position now.
2022 was not the first year that VGC was played on a restricted format. And if there has been one constant throughout the years, it's that where there's sun, there's also rain.
Kyogre and Zacian had been one of the most popular and consistent restricted pairings of the format from the get-go, and it was due for a victory soon, especially after seeing multiple Kyogre and Zacian in the top cut of EUIC, and this pair being a fairly good counter to Rinya Sun if played properly.
The next stop for the North American Regional Championships was in Indianapolis, where Kyogre and Zacian became the new top restricted pair. Stefan Mott piloted a team of Kyogre, Zacian, Rillaboom, Grimmsnarl, Incineroar, and Zapdos to claim the Indianapolis Regional Championship title. This restricted pair would continue to be a staple in future competitions, but with a couple of different partner Pokemon to back up the powerhouse duo.
Stefan Mott is your 2022 Indianapolis Regional Champion.
A gigantic round of applause for Stefan.
Following Indianapolis, you would have maybe expected to keep seeing Rinya Sun and Kyogre and Zacian as the frontrunners of all of the competitions. The meta felt fairly set in stone, but the Secaucus Regional Championships proved that wrong.
On top of Secaucus having the single most stacked top cut of any regional to date, with the 8 trainers holding a combined 18 regional championship victories, among other titles, there were 5 different restricted pairings present. Ultimately, Emilio Forbes claimed the title of Secaucus Regional Champion, with a hyper-offensive team featuring Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zacian.
That's it! Alex is going to forfeit. Emilio Forbes takes the championship here.
The meta was even more diverse when the competition crossed the continent to the Vancouver Regional Championships, where Pokemon like Eternatus, Nihilego, and Ditto all seemed to make a breakout debut. Gavin Michaels won that event with an archetype that was quickly rising in popularity, Lunala and Groudon.
The last regional championship event was no different, with Jie Zhang winning Milwaukee with yet another new restricted duel of Groudon and Yveltal, but also a more unconventional Bronzong pick.
1 week after Milwaukee, 318 Masters Division trainers descended on Columbus, Ohio for the final stage before the World Championships in London, the North American International Championships.
At this point, the meta felt so diverse, with different restricted duos winning the last 3 regional championships, proving there was still room to test and grow in the Series 12 format. But Zacian and Kyogre dominated the field once again, despite not winning tournaments outright recently. While this duo was seen in 14 of the top 32 teams at NAIC, it wasn't able to clutch out the win.
Place of this session, caught by the Earth Power from the Gastrodon, a very easy knockout to get there, and Gastrodon was left untouched.
Following 3 long days of battles, James Evans took home the champion title.
Fire Punch comes through, and Landorus will get knocked out. James Evans is your North America International Champion!
After coming so close in Milwaukee, the 2018 Senior Division World Champion would take the crown with a team featuring yet another new restricted duo in Groudon and Shadow Rider Calyrex.
After NAIC, trainers had 2 months to prepare for the World Championships. Throughout the season, we had seen a variety of restricted duos have strong success. Groudon Zacian, Kyogre Zacian, Shadow Rider Calyrex Zacian, Groudon Lunala, and Groudon Yveltal had all won a major tournament.
With the creativity seen towards the latter half of the season, and the expectation of Japanese trainers to push the boundaries of the format, there were a lot of questions about what would be the best choice of team to bring to the World Championships, and if there was anything out of the box to prepare for.
After a long wait, trainers from around the world finally gathered in London for the 2022 World Championships.
While we saw a few trainers try to innovate and create completely new strategies, many of them in Day 2 of Worlds decided to stick with the core strategies they had used and perfected throughout the entire season. This meant we saw a lot of Rinya's Sun and a lot of Kyogre and Zacian, but with a few updates to make them better meta contenders.
Rinya Kobayashi himself finished in the top 16 at Worlds with an updated version of his team, alongside Eric Rios. This version saw a bulky Charizard with a weakness policy, which was a pivot away from the more offensive Life Orb variant that had typically been seen on these teams.
Charizard is going to be revealing it's holding the weakness policy. This has been such a shift in the metagame, and I love seeing it on the Charizard here.
In the end though, it was neither Rinya nor Eric who would have the strongest performance at Worlds with this archetype, but instead Italy's David Carrere, who took the archetype to top 8.
As for Kyogre and Zacian, Megan Rattle finished in the top 8 with a new take on the archetype, utilizing Celesteela, while James Beck finished 3rd with his own variation. Ultimately, despite strong showings through the entire season, neither strategy would go on to become world champion.
As was almost tradition at this point, Charizard reached the finals. On one side, Guillermo Castilla with the team of Lunala, Groudon, Incineroar, Charizard, Grimmsnarl, and Regieleki.
On the other side stood Eduardo Cunha, with a team of Zacian, Shadow Rider Calyrex, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Gastrodon, and Thundurus.
At the end of an explosive, hard-fought photo-finish 3-game series, Eduardo Cunha stood as the world champion, completing an incredible undefeated run against the best trainers in the world, a feat that has not been achieved since Ray Rizzo's win in 2012.
Pokemon World Champion.
That was incredible. The crowd is going wild. Eduardo is celebrating on the stage. Huge congratulations to our champion.
I'm still catching my breath. I'm sure everyone here is. What a moment. And for us to be here to experience it, incredible. Massive congratulations to both of our competitors.
With 2022 in the rear view, we turn to Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. How will the metagame shift? Will terastallization impact the meta as much as Dynamax did? Which new trainers and Pokémon will we see rise to the top?
Only time will tell, so join us as the journey continues in the 2023 season of the Pokémon Championship Series.